She was mocked, laughed at, and even had wine poured on her dress in front of 1,000 billionaires. Security was already moving in to drag her out, but when this black CEO finally rose from her chair, she didn't shout or cry. With 3 words and a single phone call, she erased a $6.8 billion empire in seconds, leaving the entire ballroom frozen and her rival begging for mercy. The first insult didn't whisper across the ballroom. It detonated. "Is that really what you wore to the Skyspire Gala?" Victoria Hale laughed, loud enough to split the music. Conversations snapped shut. Heads turned toward a solitary table by the marble rail. Celeste Grant sat alone, a black woman in her early 50s whose stillness read, to the untrained, like weakness. Her gown was burnished bronze, catching light like banked embers. No diamonds, no entourage. A plain watch, a glass of water. In a room built on performance, she refused to perform. Victoria performed enough for everyone. 30, headline-born, CEO of Hale Dynamics by inheritance and marketing, she moved in a scarlet dress and brighter arrogance. "Security must be sleeping," someone murmured. "Staff keeps wandering into the guest area." Another voice. "She looks like she's here to bust tables." Celeste did not flinch. Her fingers steadied on the stem of her glass, as if anchoring the room. She had stood under other chandeliers for this same lesson. Silence gathered like armor. From the mezzanine, a young reporter angled her clutch, camera hidden under velvet. Across the floor, a Hong Kong investor paused mid-sip. The crowd smelled blood. Victoria closed the distance. "Ballroom couture, darling," she purred. "Look into it sometime, if your budget allows." Laughter broke like thin glass. Celeste's gaze rose, calm and ancient, and rested on Victoria's face. "I already have," she said, letting the words float. It irritated Victoria the way a diamond scratches a mirror. She wanted tears. She wanted pleading. Celeste gave her data silence. The band tried a brighter swing, but the real rhythm was the room's heartbeat tightening. Phones angled, whispers braided into a rope. "Exclusive event," Victoria called toward the stage. Perhaps the door policy grew. Charitable this year. Complicit laughter rippled. Celeste smoothed her napkin and said nothing. Her quiet prepared the terms. "Close now." Victoria held her crystal like a scepter. "Lost, sweetheart? Service entrance is that way." She pointed toward the kitchens. "That dress would be perfect for passing canapes." This time the laughter was uglier. A hedge fund prince coughed into whiskey. A socialite framed Celeste dead center. Celeste breathed once. The blue gown glowed. The stain of the evening had not yet arrived. Victoria leaned in, eyes glittering. "Be careful," she said. "It would be a shame if anything spilled." The wrist flick was practiced, hidden beneath a theatrical gasp. Cabernet leapt from glass to fabric, a red wound spreading over bronze. A circle-wide inhale snapped the air taut. "Oh, oops," Victoria's voice tipped into syrup. "I suppose dry cleaning isn't covered by charitable tickets." The band died. Even the chandeliers seemed to hush. Celeste placed her glass with a small, definitive click, lifted the napkin, and laid it over the stain. Not to hide it, but to mark it. The reporter's screen filled with proof. The investor's eyes hardened. Victoria savored the hush. "Security," she said, not loudly but with expectation. "Please escort this woman out." 2 guards threaded through the guests. Cameras bloomed. 100 lenses drank Celeste's face. Celeste did not rise. She adjusted the napkin a fraction, as if aligning a signature. She had been turned away from rooms before. She had built companies on the walk back to the curb. She had learned the calculus of restraint. Humiliation multiplied by witnesses equals leverage. Victoria basked, mistaking the silence for surrender. "Some people don't understand boundaries," she told her circle. "This is a billionaire's gala, not a shelter." The chuckle returned from the crowd, thin and cowardly. A woman in a diamond coil lowered her eyes. The investor murmured, "Watch her hands." The guards arrived. One cleared his throat. "Ma'am, we'll need you to come with us." Celeste lifted her gaze fully for the first time. It settled on Victoria like a weight. It wasn't fury. It wasn't fear. It was the quiet click of a lock finding home. "Is there a problem?" Celeste asked, voice even. Victoria's smirk brightened. "Yes," she purred. "The problem is you don't belong here." Phones rose higher. The room leaned in. Celeste considered the statement like a clause. then let it pass. Examined, filed, dismissed. She reached for her clutch with the unhurried precision of a surgeon selecting an instrument. The gesture traveled the room like lightning. The reporter's breath snagged. The investor sat forward. Even the guards paused. Victoria laughed again, brittle now. What now, sweetheart? Calling a ride home? Celeste's thumb woke the screen. She did not look at Victoria. She did not look at the crowd. Protocol 7, she said into the receiver. 3 syllables spoken like a key. The room didn't understand the language, but it felt the pressure change. Conversations fell apart mid-syllable. On the other end, a voice answered instantly, crisp and professional, audible only to Celeste. She listened, nodded once, then spoke in the tempered register executives use when moving oceans. Pause tomorrow's wire, she said. Freeze all Series C exposure. Pull the negotiation track with Hale Dynamics. Effective immediately. The words weren't loud, but they cut. The investor went very still. Victoria rolled her eyes. Dramatic, she sniffed. Pretending to be important doesn't make you important. Security, please. The guards did not touch Celeste. Not yet. The crowd's appetite shifted from cruelty to curiosity to fear. Celeste ended the call and set the phone atop the linen, a paperweight on a record. She met Victoria's gaze again, calm as a verdict. Are we finished? Celeste asked. Victoria opened her mouth to say yes, when her clutch buzzed. She glanced down. One notification, another, a third. Part the floor, Celeste said quietly to the guards, not looking away from Victoria. They hesitated, then obeyed, opening a path through the jeweled ring of spectators. Celeste stood. The blue gown flowed, the stain now a badge rather than a scar. Somewhere, the reporter whispered. Watch this! Celeste took one step forward, then another, the crowd retreating as if pulled by gravity. She did not raise her voice. She didn't need to. The room was already listening to the only frequency that mattered. Consequence. And when she finally spoke again, the gala forgot to breathe, in absolute silence. The guards stepped back, not because anyone ordered them to, but because the room itself shifted around Celeste Grant. Space opened like water parting for a prow. The jazz band tried one uncertain chord and quit. Crystal stems shivered on linen. Victoria Hale recovered first, scooping disdain into her voice. Cute trick, she said, thumbing her clutch. My team will howl when I tell them some random crasher tried to spook me with corporate code words. Her screen lit again, then again. Color drained from her cheeks. On the mezzanine, a reporter in velvet steadied her phone. At a side table, an investor with winter-grey hair, Kenji Morita, watched with a pilot's calm. Celeste faced the guards. You were asked to remove a disturbance, she said evenly. You found it. Her eyes settled on Victoria. Stand down, the taller guard's jaw worked. Mom, stand down, Celeste repeated. Not loud, just final. The men set their hands behind their backs and stepped aside. Murmurs unspooled. A socialite whispered, Who is she? Another, Why are the guards listening? Victoria laughed high. Because they're confused, she declared. Because a woman in a thrift store watch said a code and they panicked. Celeste's watch ticked once. She pressed a silk handkerchief along the wine's edge, containing the spread, then folded it beside her phone as if closing a file. Kenji set his glass down. The reporter typed, Silence isn't the absence of strategy. It is the sheath. Victoria raised her crystal. Since we're playing corporate cosplay, she purred. A toast to guest lists getting looser every year. A few laughs sputtered. Most eyes were on Victoria's clutch. Notifications bloomed, stealing her poise. Ms. Hale, a friend tugged. Maybe nothing, Victoria snapped. Security. No one moved. Celeste slid her chair under the table and stepped into the cleared path. Bronze cloth drifted and settled. She stopped at conversational distance. No touching, no crowding, merely presence. Ms. Hale, Celeste said. I will speak briefly. Victoria flashed a smile like a blade. You will leave quickly. Celeste's eyes did not change. There is a wire at 0940 tomorrow to your stabilization account at Lydian Capital, she said. 3 escrow triggers. All 3 are frozen. Gasps were quiet, like air leaving a tent. Victoria's thumb flew. Her pupils tightened on a new subject line from her CFO. The reporter captured the instant bravado drain from Victoria's face. "This is harassment," Victoria said. "Too fast." "It is math," Celeste replied. Kenji's brow lifted. "Lydian," he mouthed. "Not public." The host in the gold bow tie rose part way and sat again. The room that had applauded cruelty now listened for weather reports. "Who exactly do you think you are?" Victoria asked. "An operations manager with delusions? A vendor trying to feel tall?" Celeste did not answer. She looked to the guards. "Please bring a towel for the floor." They vanished like relieved ghosts. Facing Victoria again, she recited the ledger. "You poured wine on me and requested removal. Before you escalate further, read your messages." Victoria stared down. The CFO had written in a style she'd never seen. Spare. Terrified. Lines of credit on hold. Partners reversing. "Who is Celeste Grant?" The whisper rippled outward. "Who is Celeste Grant?" Kenji spoke without strain. "Some of you flew in on jets leased from companies that answer to a holding firm named Northgate. Northgate answers to Greenbridge. Greenbridge's chairwoman met this quarter with a Celeste Grant." He rotated his glass. "I doubt there are two." A tremor passed through the ballroom. Victoria lifted her chin. "Rumors. Even if any of that were true, I have a board. Options. Friends." Her friends studied their shoes. Celeste's voice stayed gentle. "Options require time. Friends require courage," the host tried again. "Ladies, perhaps we can—" Celeste looked at him once. He fell silent. The reporter whispered, "Power isn't how hard you hit. It's how softly you end conversations." Victoria lunged for sympathy. "This is a gala. She is making a scene." "No," Celeste said. "You made a scene. I am making a record." She tilted her head. "There was a document on my desk, drafted by Latham and Gray, regarding a strategic tie-up with Hale Dynamics. The figure attached is 6.8 billion. Phones rose higher. It is being shredded as we speak." The number landed like cold rain. "Bluff," Victoria tried. The sound broke. "If it's a bluff," Kenji's wife murmured. "Why is her CFO texting in fragments?" The guards reappeared with a towel. Celeste thanked them with a nod. One spread cotton over the puddled wine, a domestic gesture intimate against marble and money. Celeste lifted her phone and opened a new call. "Marisol," she said when it connected. "Send a note to Northgate's aviation desk. Any aircraft leased by Hale Dynamics or Hale Family Trusts are not to depart without a compliance clearance signed by me." Yes, now. A low moan rolled through a knot of hedge fund princes. Assets to them were breathable things. The idea of air being gated hurt their lungs. Victoria's defiance thinned to pleading. "Why are you doing this?" Celeste studied the stain beneath the towel. "Because you confused cruelty with power," she said. "Cruelty borrows a stage. Power builds one." "Look at me," Victoria insisted. "If you had any real authority, you'd say your name." Celeste's gaze climbed to Victoria's eyes. Sadness lived there. "My name," she said, "will be said exactly once tonight." Her chin lifted toward the stage where the host clutched a microphone. "And when it is, you will understand why I never raised my voice," she addressed the host. "Sir, may I borrow your platform for 10 seconds? He nodded. The microphone squealed as it left his hand. Celeste didn't climb the stairs. She stood where she was, the mic lowered, as if addressing a boardroom that spanned a city. "Good evening," she said. "I apologize for the interruption. I have been asked who I am." The room held its breath. Celeste's fingers rested on the microphone's stem. "I am—" Celeste did not raise the microphone to her lips like a performer. She held it low, letting the hush settle until the chandelier seemed to lean closer. "I am Celeste Grant," she said. The name moved through crystal and velvet like a current. Chair of Greenbridge Holdings, principal at Northgate, majority partner in Lydian's aviation and credit syndicates, and until 60 seconds ago, the lead architect of a $6.8 billion rescue for Hale Dynamics. Phones lifted. Near the bar, a flute hit marble and shattered. Victoria Hale's smile unhooked and fell. Celeste gave the microphone back. "Thank you." To the room, not loud, simply sovereign. "Continue." The band did not. The crowd, jolted by recognition, swayed like trees holding their leaves too tightly. You're bluffing, Victoria said, dragging consonants like anchors. This is theatre, Kenji Morita answered. It's audit, he said, respectful, relieved. Some of us have wanted one, the reporter whispered into her clutch. Identity confirmed, crowd pivoting from voyeur to witness. Victoria took a step and stopped, as if an edge appeared between them. You wouldn't sabotage a deal that size for pride. Not pride, Celeste said. Principle. We don't launder contempt with capital. She turned to the witnesses. None of you needed my name to choose decency. You chose speed instead. Silence answered, heavy and real. Victoria's clutch buzzed. Transfer halted. Escrows locked. Board on emergency call. We can amend, she pleaded. Public apology. Personal apology. Better terms. Give me the weekend. Celeste studied her like an X-ray. Your company may survive if it learns why this is happening. You won't if you think money replaces manners. The transaction is cancelled. No gavel, yet the cut was clean. Bankers did neon math in their heads. The server froze mid-pour. The host in the gold bow tie tried a smile from another evening. Miss Grant, on behalf of... Host your guests, Celeste said gently. Your stage is yours again. She turned to the guards who'd been ordered to remove her. Thank you for your patience. They nodded, grateful to be released from a bad script. Don't walk away, Victoria said, hand shaking. Meet me at first light. You had your meeting here, Celeste answered. You chose a crowd for courage. Now the crowd has a memory. The woman in the diamond coil raised a glass, not flattery, apology. Others followed, a ripple of contrition replacing the earlier surf of cruelty. No cheers, acknowledgement only. Celeste glanced at the stain beneath the towel. She lifted a corner, studied the halo the wine had left in the bronze. Power tests itself by spilling, she said. It watches to see who cleans. She set the towel back and straightened. Bronze catching light like a coin's face. If you do this, thousands of jobs, Victoria tried, will be guided by leaders who know the difference between authority and spectacle, Celeste said. If your board keeps you after tonight, that's their arithmetic. Mine is different. Her phone chimed. Marisol's confirmation slid onto the screen. Aviation holds active. Lending window closed. Lydian asking to remove Hale from syndicate exposure. Celeste tucked the phone away. Mr. Morita, she said without turning. If you speak with Hale Dynamics, do it with kindness. They'll need an adult in the room. Kenji inclined his head. Understood. The reporter lowered her clutch, hands shaking. Later she would write that the sound of the night wasn't breaking glass. It was the small, steady hinge of a door closing without rage. Please, Victoria said, the girl beneath the armor finally audible. Give me a way back. Celeste considered. Here's the route, she said. Call off the guards when you're frightened. Not just when you're cruel. Don't outsource dignity to the underpaid. And when a woman sits alone at your edge, go without an audience and ask if she needs water. Victoria's eyes closed. I hear you. No, Celeste said, not unkindly. You hear words. Understanding takes years. She moved. Space opened without command. People shifted not out of fear, but to bear witness correctly this time. From the stairs, the host found a lane of his own. Miss Grant, he said, steadier now. Thank you for restating the terms. There are always terms, Celeste replied. Tonight you learned who drafts them. She walked. Bronze whispered over marble. The stain meant to mark her had become her banner. Conversations restarted in a new grammar. Softer verbs, fewer knives. At the door she paused, not to save a ruin, but to place a period. Respect, she said, is not a perk you grant the powerful. It is the minimum you owe the human. The room accepted the sentence with a chastened exhale. Celeste stepped into the corridor where the city's night breathed cool against her skin. Beyond glass, the skyline pulsed, indifferent to borrowed light. She didn't need its permission. She brought her own. Behind her, the ballroom reassembled its pageant. The band found a standard in a safer key. People approached the woman with the diamond coil and said, "We were wrong," and for once they meant it. Kenji phoned his office. "We start Monday," he said, and meant something wider than finance. Victoria stood staring at the towel, seeing the borders of a country she could have ruled, and instead tried to salt. Friends hovered, uncertain how to offer comfort without confessing complicity. None touched the glass she had used as a weapon. The reporter sat on a stair and dictated her ending with careful breath. Power doesn't shout, it edits. It refuses to be hurried. When it leaves, a room discovers its shape by what is missing. Celeste did not look back. Revolving doors gave to rain-scented air. Her driver stepped forward, then waited when she raised a hand. She wanted these last steps herself. Heels clicked. Not anger. Alignment. At the curb, a server who'd watched from the edge held a folded coat. "Ma'am," he said, steady now. "You dropped this." It wasn't hers. Someone's panic had left it behind. Celeste took it anyway and draped it over her arms. A temporary kindness on a temporary night. The first drop of rain darkened the bronze, richer. Celeste welcomed weather the way she welcomed audits, eyes open. "Home, Ms. Grant," the driver asked when she reached him. "Home," she said. "Tomorrow we rebuild what should stand and let the rest fall." He nodded. The door opened. The city exhaled, and the woman who refused to shout stepped into the quiet only real authority can afford. You saw arrogance collapse and true power rise in silence. If this story hit you, don't just scroll, stand with dignity. Like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe now. Because here, every story proves one truth: respect is never negotiable.